Hi there, welcome to episode 8 of Saving the Republic. Today we've got Nate Dunning, Skylar Walksman, and Kelly Neidert. I am Ethan Holland. Today we're going to be talking about Biden got another gaffe. That's crazy. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk coming to Austin. We're going to be talking about some COVID statistics that are pretty interesting and updates from our last episode about Ahmaud Arbery and everything going on in Georgia. Thank you for tuning in to episode 8.
All right, so for our first topic today, we have another Joe Biden. I don't know what to call it. He just misspeaks all the time, but
I don't know.
he was
This was
on.
speaking, was it?
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like if he had known what he was saying, he wouldn't have said that, but there's no telling with him. He was on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, and he said, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. So, of course, everybody's mad about that, and we have a clip of it.
All right, 1 second. Nate, can you enable the screen sharing? Yeah, but the thing with that is it's something new every day, and he's had worse. People are talking about this like it's crazy. No. He's had significantly worse than this. Anyway, I know Kelly's dealing with it at UNT. I fortunately have not had this issue yet.
It would be hard to call it a gaffe too, because it feels like it was a scripted thing. It's like this, he was planning on saying this. He waited until the last minute of his 18-minute interview to say this. I feel like he had this lined up. I don't know. He thought it was a good idea.
Here's the clip. Check it out.
Yeah. Audio.
Here we go. Audio not good? Give me a second.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate your patience to the viewers.
I want something for my community.
That brought immediate criticism from Black Republicans.
So when Tim Scott tweeted this, I'm not going to lie, it was perfect. And Ben Carson's also getting on it. A lot of people, I mean, honestly, the people that haven't gotten on it are quite hypocritical. What do y'all think about that? Hello.
So my kind of thought on it is basically just him saying that shouldn't have happened, even if it was scripted, because now the left's arguments against Trump are they call him racist and sexist, and I believe they also referred to him as a rapist as well, with accusations that have been levied against him. But now we're seeing Biden say this thing. We see the accusations that have been alleged against him, and now they've pretty much lost their arguments against Trump at this point.
Yeah, they really have. And, say what you will about Trump, but I know we're talking about Biden and the black thing, but he had a conference the other day, a video thing, specifically for Hispanic business owners, specifically for only, like, if you're not Hispanic or you don't have a relation with Hispanic business owners or churches, you couldn't be on it. And so when people say that, Trump wants to send them all back or whatever, Biden's looking significantly worse.
Yeah, it's on Biden. It's kind of weird that he's for some reason I really can't understand why, but he's done pretty well with black voters. I think that was probably part of the reason that he was brought on as the vice presidential candidate in 2008. I mean, Barack Obama was already he's black, so he's probably going to do pretty good anyways. But he kind of has this appeal to sort of like moderate people and does pretty well with black voters, and I really can't explain it. I'm interested to see if this kind of shakes that support. I feel like it could, but it's also probably not really getting any coverage with the mainstream media, I would assume.
Yeah, exactly. And you can always rely on Candace Owens to tweet this stuff. We don't have to talk about Candace Owens right now, but here is the actual clip.
Mm-hmm.
New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, And you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact.
Anyways, so
Crazy.
when he, you know what? Now that I'm watching it, for like the 100th time, I think that Biden saying that, he thought that it would win him appeal. Whenever he said you ain't black, he felt like he was trying to relate with them, and he did it extremely insulting in the process. I think because he's such a boomer, he does not understand that does not work out. A lot of our generation don't talk like that anymore. It's over. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, the ain't kind of throws me off. It's like, why did he choose to say that? It
I
sounded
know,
like he was getting too into it.
like that on a regular
Yeah.
basis. And the way that he leaned over and was like, moving with his body language, he thought the host was gonna be like, yeah, get it. That's what he thought was gonna happen.
I mean, personally, I think the host held his composure really well when that happened, because my reaction would be like, wait, what did you just say?
Have y'all seen the interview with about North Korea? When Eminem says he's gay, and they're all like, Eminem gay? They're like running all over the studio. If I was that host on Breakfast Club, I'd be like, wait, what? And if I was the studio, I'd be saying in his ear, like, hey, ask him to say that again. That was insane that he said that. It's trending on all kinds of levels on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in Joe Biden's headspace right now as to why he would have said that. I mean, I can't see a good reason to say that.
I mean, it's just hard to get into his headspace. He doesn't have a headspace.
Like, it's just weird. He thinks, I guess he thinks he's like on the same page with them, and he just totally wasn't. Like, it's like, if it was a black person saying, like, if you don't support me, well, you're not black, I can maybe understand that. But if it's Joe Biden, like, a white person doesn't get to tell black people they're not black. Like, nobody, I don't know. Even if you are black, I still don't think you should say that. But as a white person,
I don't think it should have. I don't think race should have anything to do with it in the first place. And what's funny is, you never know with the Biden campaign if it's him just saying something or if his advisors told him to say it. And I don't think he listens to his advisors. But his campaign manager is a black gay woman, I'm pretty sure, who worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign and
Simone Sanders, right? I think
that's her name. I think that's her name. So yeah. I'm wondering, if you're Simone Sanders, are you happy with Biden saying that? Did you tell him to do it, or did you?
That's your current employer, probably not.
Or did you watch the Breakfast Club and you're like, wait, he did what now? Because I would hate to have to tell. That's in my opinion, telling Biden what to do is worse than telling Donald Trump what to do. That would be so, because Donald Trump will flat out tell you, I'm not doing that, I'm going to do my own thing. But Biden, who knows how he reacts? If he's like, yeah, I'll do it, and then he doesn't, who knows?
So my thing with Biden is, I'm not even sure, like, he's all there. I know we've talked about it before, but, my thought is, if he does have some sort of illness like dementia or Alzheimer's, what if he's like halfway remembering what they told him to say?
That's true.
And so he's getting, but he confuses it in his head, and it ends up like this.
I think he is looking at a, not necessarily a teleprompter, but I do think he's reading when he's talking. Because if he's not, I don't know about that one, Coach. Because you can tell by the focus in his eyes that he is reading something. And so maybe he read that. Maybe the campaign manager was right there in the room and was like, hey, here's like the sign, say this. Because that does happen. I mean, who knows if it happened in this situation? I mean,
I don't think it happened in that situation.
The question here is, who knows? That's what to take away from here. Who knows what's actually going on? The fact is that it happened, and it extremely backfired on him so hard.
Yeah. Anyways. I don't know if y'all watched like much of the episode besides that, or much of the interview besides it. It actually went, like, it was going pretty smoothly. I still would have wished you would have pressed him a little bit more on different things, but then especially that hit, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got to press him more which that was right at the end, and I feel like that's why I said I think he was pretty intentional about saying it. So it was just really bizarre. Yeah, really strange.
I
Yeah, I
think
see what you're saying. Go ahead, Kelly.
I think maybe it was one of those things where, like, in the moment you think it's a good idea because you have something going, and then you, like, say something and you take it too far. That's
Yeah.
what it seemed like to me. Like, he seemed really confident when he said that. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. His energy, like if you look at his body language, he's like, "You ain't black," like he
Yeah.
was like into it. Anyway, that's a little
There,
sus.
there are sometimes like you're going along in a conversation, you get like a little too comfortable. That's what might have happened. But
Hang on, let's watch it again
yeah.
real quick to show y'all exactly like what I mean by this. I might not be making sense, but
A long way until
look at
November.
his
We
body
got
language.
more
Give it a second.
questions.
See
You
how
got
he's
more
all chill?
questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring
at
out
him.
whether you're
The
for
hand
me
motion,
or
like the way that
Trump,
he's into it,
and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has
the
to.
way that he like leans forward in his chair, he's like, "Then you ain't
Yeah.
black." He's so into it. It makes me think, okay, that was pre-staged. I don't think he came up with that in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, I agree. He wasn't just like, yeah, if you're not sure, you're probably not black. To be, it was
That's a
like
Matrix soundbite.
Does that like doesn't that make it worse though if that was pre-planned and it
Yeah.
turns
Yeah,
out
no,
it was
okay,
bad?
okay.
Definitely.
Here's the thing. Us with like common sense and being able to analyze something, yeah, that makes it worse. That's stupid. But if you think about it, the Biden campaign is so fragile, and the Trump campaign, all press is good press, bad press, good press. It doesn't matter. It is good for Trump. They might, be trying that out, and so they might have put this soundbite because they know that it would put Biden in the headlines for a couple of days. Now, I think that's terrible thought process, and I think that Trump is so unique, you can't copy his style. You just got to fight it. But who knows? I come back to the who knows. The more I watch it, the more I think it was pre-staged because of how much it's trending right now. But who knows? Because Biden's in the headlines constantly because of this, and they might be sitting on their couch like we did it. Anyway, I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
I'm not sure it was like, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't think anybody would want this. I think it's pretty bad press because it's weird. Like I was saying, he's pretty good with black voters, but it's weird why you would say something like that. If you were planning to say something controversial, why would you say something like that? Like these are people that like you're doing well with them. There's no like, don't cause any controversy. Don't do anything.
I see what you're saying. Like you're causing controversy with the one thing that you have going for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think black voters I think they make up something like half of all Democratic voters. So if you were to lose like 5 or 10% of black voters, you would still be dominating, but that's a crucial voting block for you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's kind of stupid.
It's not a voting block to play around with. And anyway, but I mean, and what do y'all think about VP pick? Who do you think is what's the future for the Biden campaign at this point? Do y'all think that convention comes around and they're like, all right, no, this has been fun and all, but here's the actual candidate? What do y'all think is going to happen?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Stacey Abrams. I don't know if it's necessarily a good pick, but he already said it's going to be a woman, so it wouldn't shock me if it was her. Amy Klobuchar is another big one. So I think honestly, one of those two. Maybe.
I don't think it's going to be a minority woman.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Y'all think Kamala's out of the question?
No,
I can see that. Yeah, it is kind of. There is a lot of material though. Whenever they clashed in those early debates, where it was talking about busing and stuff like that. I could see that coming back and hurting them. But
what do you think Elizabeth Warren's future is? She just stays senator from Massachusetts and calls it a day, or do you think there's more to that we just haven't seen yet?
I don't think she's gonna do anything after this. She's getting really
she's
old.
She's gonna be senator and just chill out.
To me, she doesn't seem very fiery. Like she doesn't seem like she's super determined. Whereas Sanders does seem like that. Joe seems like that.
She doesn't seem very passionate.
Yeah,
How old is she? I didn't think she was that old, but she maybe
How old
she
is
is.
Elizabeth Warren? 70. She's 70. So
It's not
2024
young.
she'll be 74. So or
I
75.
could see her running again in the future if there's a Republican president, or so like if Trump gets reelected, I could see her running in 24.
Y'all think Bernie's going to run in 24, or is there going to be
Um,
another socialist that comes to light in the next few years that gains so much wokeness that they start running?
AOC.
I will
AOC
never
won't be able to run for president in 4 years.
I will never say never that Bernie is not going to run for president, because he's always going to have supporters. But it's like, as much as I wanted Ron Paul to run again in like 2016, he's just getting on up there. I don't expect Bernie to run.
Yeah, Bernie. I mean, with the heart attack and all that, I don't know. AOC, I think at some point in our lifetime is going to run for president. Definitely senator of New York. However,
Interesting to see how she goes, how it goes with her. Like in the era of social media, you can be just a freshman congressman. You can already have amassed a huge following. So,
yeah.
I'll be interested to see if she.
But I don't think
keeps that
AOC
up,
gets to presidential bid. I don't see that happening.
So my thing with Bernie is, if he were to run again, even if it was just the next election, he'd be 82 when he's running and 86 when he leaves
That's
office.
true. That's true.
So
yeah, I don't know about that one, Coach. I don't think that would happen. I don't think the supporters would go for it. And the other thing is, with the deterioration of the squad, I really hate that is what they're called. But the squad, I guess I feel like a boomer calling them that. But Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC. What's the other one? Ayanna Pressley, isn't that her name? Ilhan Omar is probably not going to get reelected. Who knows? But Trump held a rally that had record settings in her district, and people are starting to realize she married her brother. That's a whole other conversation though. But I don't see Ilhan Omar getting reelected. Rashida Tlaib, her supporters hate her. This is common. I mean, you can Google it, look at images. I mean, it's there.
Maybe I don't know though. It's like, I'm just guessing, if someone is like as far to the left as them can get elected, they've got to be in seriously strong Democratic districts. Like, I know AOC is, but I'd probably bet the same thing about the other two.
But there are other Democrats that are running up against them. I'm not talking about a party switch. I'm talking about a candidate switch. Now, okay, Ilhan Omar, there probably will be a party switch, but the Rashida Tlaib, AOC, there are other Democrats that are running against them that are significantly better. Like AOC hasn't gone for re-election ever since she lost the Amazon plant getting put in there. She hasn't had another election. Her supporters are still extremely mad that she lost them that Amazon building, or all jobs. It was what, 20,000 jobs, I think.
I think haven't some of the primaries already passed? Like,
that's the other question.
I know some of them have gotten delayed, but I think most of them have already passed up.
Well, let me see what's up in New York.
Currently in New York, there's as of February 17th, there's 13 challengers for AOC's seat.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
AOC must be real strong to get past that.
I mean,
yeah, but she's still going to be the favorite.
She lost them 20,000 jobs though, and of course, at a certain point, we have to look at her supporters, not her, because it's like, dude, open your eyes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm interested to see if that has an effect, but it could. I mean, she has a cult following, sort of. So who knows? Who knows what?
When is the primary dates in New York? Have they already passed? That's not a Super Tuesday state, is it?
I don't think it's a Super Tuesday state off the top of my head.
I'm looking up election dates. Let's see here. Y'all think Cuomo will get reelected? He's getting blamed. People are calling him a murderer. Like, New Yorkers are calling him a murderer.
I expect he will probably get reelected. But yeah, New York's primary is actually June 23rd. So Democratic primary. Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. What about Minnesota? Wait, is Ilhan Omar in Michigan or Minnesota? Minnesota, right? I think Rashida Tlaib is the one that's in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, but I mean, of course, we're talking about this. I mean, we're talking about Biden, but we're talking about the future of the Biden campaign, and the future of this little clique is also very important to the Biden campaign. AOC was helping Bernie campaign, even though she's pretty well hated across the country.
Yeah. But yeah, Omar is in. She's in Minnesota. Tlaib is Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Talib, saying we're gonna impeach the, MF or whatever, in front of her kid. I mean, that was so messed up. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I've cussing in front of your kid is one thing, but on camera, using the F bomb, calling the president of the United States that, saying we're gonna impeach him, and then here we are looking at how the impeachment turned out. I don't know about that one, Coach. Uh, anyway, but then again, it's their supporters, so I mean, we can get mad at Pelosi all we want, but you have to look at San Francisco and be like, why? What are you doing? Why are you voting for her?
it's yeah,
And
it's
then
just
voter
kind of
fraud comes into account.
it's kind of just indicative of how politics nowadays is so uncivilized in a lot of ways. It's not to say it's worse than it's ever been, because we've been through a lot worse periods, but the fact that just people are okay with this kind of talk, it's kind of, I think it is pretty unsettling, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, but so the problem with what we're going through right now, I'm with you there, where it's not, and this isn't the worst we've ever had, but the problem now is the level of insecurity that people have. People are so insecure about what they believe. You have the very secure people and the very insecure people, and the insecure people call the secure people closed-minded, and vice versa. And so what we're trying to do, through this podcast and on our campuses, is to end that diversion. Uh, and that's where the future of the party, that's why we talk about all these things, and that's why politics is so trending now, especially with social media, and it's because the insecurity is growing and growing and growing.
What's crazy to me is just like how far people take things. They're not, I mean, I see it on like the left side more. They're just so like vulgar and really quick to admit that they disagree with you, but they're just rude about it. That's
Well,
what
they're
is
rude
crazy to
about it,
me.
but they're insecure about it. You
Yeah, maybe
challenge them
so.
on their thing, and then they're like, okay, racist, leave me alone. Like, it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to know what you believe to talk about it. Like I'm gonna give you all a story real quick. It's not gonna take long. So I work at Chili's, right? One of my bosses, Lucas, he may very well be listening to this podcast. Love the dude, great dude. But we're talking about the NFL, and I'm telling him, I'm like, man, I wish they wouldn't bring politics into the NFL. I watch sports just to get away from it. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And he's a 49ers fan. And I was like, well, look at how your stock tanked when Colin Kaepernick started doing all that stuff. And he's like, okay, but how are you going to know what he believes if you're not a minority? And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait. I'm not even talking about what he did. I'm talking about where he did it. And he's like, okay, but that's your opinion. And I'm like, no. It's the NFL. He's like, well, he didn't do it during the game. I'm like, he did it during the national anthem. Probably, people go to football games, but there are people that are just there as a family thing that aren't even paying attention to the game. The national anthem, the stadium is silent. Everybody is paying attention. And so when you do that, it's like, dude, yeah, anyway, I got infuriated with that. The NFL lost like 30% of their viewership. So then he tells me,
And if he really wanted to make a stand, why not just like get everyone to kneel
I'm like, dude,
during the
use your
game?
social media, use your
that.
platforms outside of the NFL. Anyway, so here's the thing. Then he tells me, my family has a lot of involvement in Latin America and missions and all that. It's amazing, and I am white though. And he tells me, what do you call it? We got more into the complex of the conversation. We started talking about the party difference. We started talking about all that. Then he goes, Ethan, aren't you Hispanic? And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, no, I'm white, but I come from a missionary family, whatever. And he's like, oh, I guess you won't understand the perspective if you don't, if you're not Hispanic, you're not going to understand. And I'm like, excuse me? No, that's not true. So you mean to tell me that because I don't have the same skin color as you, or I don't have the same race, I can't understand a complex issue that actually has nothing to do with your race? You really want to go there with me? And so we're gonna have lunch later, because he's my boss and I wasn't working. We were having this conversation, so I figured, you know what, if we're gonna argue, it probably shouldn't be while I'm on the clock.
I mean, also with that, he doesn't know your story necessarily.
Well, he does. That's what made me so mad. I'm like, dude,
like,
I am the farthest from racist. I have personal friends that have been deported. You can't talk to me about that.
So the church Ethan goes to is full Spanish speaking. Like their sermons are all in Spanish. Like you can't.
Well, I don't just go there. I mean, I'm a pretty heavy leader there.
Well,
my dad's the pastor. So I've grown up my entire life in Spanish church. And for my boss to tell me that, I was like, this is the problem. This is why I have a YCT chapter, and this is why I'm on Saving the Republic, because this needs to stop. This is stupid. I was so infuriated. I was like, you mean to tell me you really? I was like, you really want to tell me that? Because I don't have the same blood as you, I'm not going to understand what you're going through. What if I flip that on you? Oh, you're a white supremacist. And it's not an assumption. That's literally, that's what's up with it. And knowing nothing about, he knew, when he told me this a few months ago, he knew nothing about my personal life or where I'm coming from or whatever. He told me, well, I've had to work hard my entire life, whatever, and so you're not going to understand it. And it makes me mad when Donald Trump doesn't pay his taxes, whatever, when I'm here having to grind for this. And I'm like, you don't even know my personal history. You don't know if I am homeless or if I live in a mansion. You have no idea. So how are you just going to tell me that with full confidence because you know I'm white? So this is where, anyway, this is where the Biden campaign gets interesting, because it's like, this division between me and my boss is an example of people across the board.
And I mean, just saying that you support Trump to a lot of people, they will instantly call you racist.
Oh yeah, and they don't even know how or why. Anyway,
if you are black and say the same thing, I've heard this happen in person. They will call you Uncle Tom. Like, how is that not racist? What you just did? Like,
I know, yeah. How is that not racist?
You saw that he supports Trump, and now because of the color of his skin, he is not a racist like the white person you just called racist for supporting Trump. He is an Uncle Tom. That is literal racism.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're just about out of time on this one, but we have some updates on the Ahmaud Arbery case. I don't know if y'all saw our heated discussion last week, but it has been settled.
So last week we talked about Ahmaud Arbery, guy that was shot while jogging, broad daylight. We talked about him last week, and since then we've seen an update on one of the people that was involved in the shooting. The person that was actually filming it, his name is William Bryan, was arrested and charged with felony murder and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. We had quite a bit of confusion. I didn't know what his role in all of this was, but it looks like he was kind of in on what was going on. And
yeah, so we got into the fight of, okay, well, what's the proper punishment for him? We each thought a different thing happened, etc. All right, viewers, bear with me. I later in a minute am going to cite CNN. But anyway, we got into the argument about, I think that if you watch the bully beat up the other person, you are also guilty. And I think the same concept applies, especially when someone was murdered in this, horrific way.
And I don't think he was just an innocent bystander with this. I think that was why he was arrested, was because he understood what was going on. I think there's actually like a CBS News article. We don't try to watch them too much, but still, and it basically said that, like, yeah, he kind of knew what was happening, and so
we had a little bit of confusion on what lets him get charged with felony murder. Just viewers, ignore the Journeys ad in the right. My computer's tripping. I definitely did not buy 4 pairs of Vans the other day. It says right here, a person can be charged with felony murder in Georgia if he or she is alleged to have contributed to another's death, even unintentionally, while committing another felony. Bryan also faces charges of criminal attempts to commit false imprisonment. So anyway, we were all confused about, like, okay, well, what legal term actually, like, makes this valid? And there we have it. Now, again, this is CNN, so who knows? But anyway, so now that the confusion has ended, anyway,
yeah,
do y'all think that the punishment fits the crime?
It sounds like he deserved to be punished. So I don't know. I'm still looking forward to seeing a trial with all of this. Like,
definitely.
It sounds like he should be punished. It sounds like he should probably go to prison. But without really knowing the details, it's kind of hard to say. It's sort of like with the Michael Brown stuff that went on in Ferguson. Like kind of the initial reports, it sounded like the officer probably was wrong in that situation. But then whenever the actual evidence came out, the shooting, it wasn't him shooting Michael Brown while he was running away. He was actually in close contact with him. Then at that point, I was like, wow, that actually does change things. I think he's probably in the clear. But so I'm kind of still interested to see with this what happens, what the evidence shows. But
Sure.
it kind of sounds like he was tagging along and
Sure.
was also guilty.
And it also
So
they're gonna
my
put him in
kind
the same prison.
So my thing with it is I don't necessarily think he deserves the full murder charge, maybe an accessory charge, because I mean at the end of the day, he's not the one that pulled the trigger. For all we know, it could have just been there could have been discussion beforehand, like, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna try and talk to this guy, and then neighbor dude just follows and he's like, okay, let's film this in case
So
this guy runs away.
that's where you have to analyze Georgia law. It says that a person can be
I don't
charged with
have
felony
enough.
murder.
So
Yeah, but it says it's according to CNN. Who knows? Aren't they based in
So-
Atlanta? It says a person can be charged with felony murder in Georgia if they are alleged to have contributed to the other death, even unintentionally. I do think that
So
he
can
followed
be
this.
charged doesn't mean is charged. Basically, there's also things you have to look into, like historical
Well, and there's no
judgments, things
trial
like
yet,
that. So what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting to hear like specifically how he added to it other than filming. Because I'm going to be honest, if dude in front of me just shot a guy and I don't have any way to defend myself, I'm probably not stepping in. I might call the cops later or right now. I'm not going to step in because there's no reason two people need to get shot,
Yeah, I
I'm
see what
kind of
you're
with you, like where morally, yeah, you should be doing something, but by
But
filming
Georgia, you have
but
to
by
look at it.
filming it, he kind of was doing something because we can go and now say,
Sure.
oh, this doesn't look like a clean shoot. So I don't
But
know.
whenever you're
Once again, I'd have to get into his headspace and see more details on the case. Personally, I can't make a judgment at this point because I
yeah,
have
so put yourself
details
in
of
the
the case.
perspective. Put yourself
Because
like,
I can
in
see
the
this
shoes of.
I can see this
Go ahead.
happening in so many different ways. It could have happened where this was planned. There could be we just don't know the details yet until this goes to trial. Because
Yeah.
I want to see, was this guy told,
I feel
okay,
you, Nate.
are we just going to get told later that this guy was just told, hey, we're going to go talk to this guy and see who he is and why we've seen him around here with all these break-ins, something like that. But
Yes.
I
Nate's pretty passionate about the law, folks.
I don't think I could make, in good conscience, I don't think I could make a judgment on what I think he
Nate.
should be, what I think should happen at this point.
Okay, put yourself in the shoes of the Georgia lawmakers. You're trending on Twitter. You are now an idiot because you have waited 2 months to do anything about this. You have all these, you're in the headlines everywhere. If you have the power to hypothetically charge the highest of all highs to everyone involved, I think you're going to do it. If you're you're desperate to justify yourself. And it's not to say it's okay. I'm just saying the Georgia lawmakers are probably like, let's do it. Let's give them what they want. And it says in our laws that we can charge him because he was allegedly involved. Let's do it. And when the trial comes around, we'll see what actually comes out in that. But I think that's what's happening here. I think it's just to calm the media.
Are you talking about the prosecutor?
Whoever's the one that charged him with that. I think they're looking at how Georgia's in the headlines for these reasons, and they want to just give the people what they want.
Well, I don't know specifics about Georgia law, but I kind of think that going for a full murder charge because he didn't, because he was there is kind of rough. Like, I mean, if you're seeing a bank getting robbed, because like I said, we don't know what happened before this event. So my kind of perspective is, if you're in a bank and you film the bank robbers and you're thinking to yourself, hey, maybe this can be used to help find these guys later.
Okay, sure, but that's
Would
where
you be
it's
charged
different.
as a bank robber?
This is
How
so
is it
unique,
different?
though.
We
No.
don't
That's
have the
different. The
background.
guy,
We
no,
don't have the
in a
background.
bank. Okay, all right. We have a hypothetical that the media is giving us.
We
Let's
don't have
analyze
the
that.
background
When
on
it,
what this guy was thinking.
no, but yes, I understand that. But we went over this last time. In a bank robbery example that you're giving me, the example you're giving me is it's happening. I've never met these people and I have nothing to do with it. And I'm taking out my camera and I'm recording.
What if your
And
neighbor's the
usually
bank
when
robber?
hold on there, Nate. Usually whenever you're like in a bank robbery, right? Not that I've ever been in one, but if I'm there and I'm seeing it happen, I'm going to record it. And as soon as humanly possible, I'm going to get it to the authorities. This video took 2 months to come out. That alone is a problem. And it might be in the hands of the Georgia law. It might be in the hands of the cameraman. We don't know. And the other problem here that is, the actual problem. According to what we went over last week, they went over to his house and was like, hey, we're chasing this dude that robbed whatever. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And then he joined in pursuit was what it said. Pursuit of. In other words, he was chasing as well. That is what is happening here. And when he got charged with murder, that tells me that he was involved. However, we will know what actually happened on the trial, and we could be laughing at this recording in a month whenever we know more information, or a year, or whenever it may be. But in this situation, you can't compare it to a bank robbery, because a bank robbery, you actually are innocent and had nothing to do with it. But in this case, he knew the shooters and came out with them and started chasing the dude. And it took 2 months for the video to come out. So whose fault is that it took 2 months? That should have been released immediately. If you are really that scared and traumatized by the shooting, you're going to get it to the authorities ASAP, because you don't want to be charged with murder.
From my understanding, I heard that it was like he turned it in as soon as it happened, but it's just getting to the media right now.
So that's Georgia's fault then, not his fault.
I could be wrong, but
is even if he did wait to release it, like his neighbor didn't get arrested for a long time. If the guy next door to me kills someone right in front of me and I have the video, I might not turn it over immediately because I don't want to get shot. It's
well, you can no. You can turn it over anonymously, and your neighbor would never know about it.
I mean, if he saw my car behind him when this was happening,
it does depend where you're living. It does depend where you're living, though. It does depend where you're living. But if you go to this is where conscience of a human comes into play. Not everybody has the same conscience. In my personal thing, I would want the people involved to pay for it, and I wouldn't worry about myself getting arrested, because I feel that I am doing the right thing in my step, and I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that I did not turn in that recording. You see what I'm saying? I would put trust into my lawmakers. However, I say that when I live in Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't live in Georgia. I don't know their confidence in that neighborhood's police department. In my neighborhood, I trust my police department, but that might not be the case in wherever this took place in Georgia.
And also go ahead.
No, you can go ahead, because I was gonna add on to like some extra information that I kind of came across.
So kind of just like on top of that, I mean, I just can't in good conscience say, hey, this guy needs to be charged with murder whenever we don't have.
Well, we don't have the details, and I'm not saying that the murder charge was correct. I'm saying that Georgia prosecutors wanted to give everybody what they want, and that is people to pay for it. And I'm not saying that that's right. And the trial still hasn't happened. They can be charged with whatever, but until the trial happens.
And I guess at this point, I kind of just have to trust that the Georgia prosecutors kind of looked into what they were doing.
And I look at Georgia and I'm confused, because like there are some good lawmakers there, like Doug Collins. I mean, there are some good people in Georgia. However, there are some not so good people in Georgia. So I'm just, confused about Georgia politics right now.
Yeah, well, Doug Collins doesn't mean that they have that.
And I understand that.
But there's this article that says that it's a NBC News, and it says that Brian's accused of using his vehicle on multiple occasions between about 1 p.m. and 1:20 p.m. that day to attempt to confine and detain Ahmaud Arbery without legal authority. So that must, like, he's the one. If he's the one recording, then we don't see, like, all we see was the short clip of the actual shooting. So it sounds like he was definitely involved before that was going on. So if he's trying to intervene, then yeah, to some degree he's he's guilty as well. But he probably should not be as guilty as the person that actually killed him. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be trying to detain someone. Like, you're just Joe Blow. Like, it's not your job to police people. If your life is in danger, that's one thing. None of these people's lives were in danger as far as anyone can tell.
I mean, if anything, they endangered their lives more by going after this guy. I personally, I don't think any of them should have gone after him, because even, I can see if he had like just broken into this dude's house or something like that, but we don't even know he ever broke into any house at this point. So I am hoping to see that justice does come to this case. I definitely think that it was a bad shoot based off of the video I saw, but I'm excited to see what happens in the trial.
Yeah, and it never comes as fast as we want it to. We want it to be instantaneous, and just in the legal system, it just doesn't happen that way. It's, who knows? It'll be probably at least a year. These things always take a year or a few years to actually, for someone to get charged, or not charged, but for someone to actually get convicted. And so I would love for it to happen soon, but we need to let it play out, and eventually the facts will make themselves clear. So
I've heard a lot of people saying that like it was justified, but I just don't see that. Even if he had been like, I guess, robbing people's houses or whatever, like that's no excuse to shoot him, because I don't think that he was doing that like at that time. So I don't know. It's kind of shocking when I hear people say that it was justified, because I just don't see how that could be.
Yeah, there's no reason that anyone's life should have been lost in this. No one was trying to. No one wanted. There's just no reason for a gun to be fired right then.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand, although I still don't like the idea of someone following him along, but doing that rather than trying to engage with them yourself. But even still, I think there's really no reason to engage with them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, there's this guy, he seems like he could be, if you're having a string of robberies and you think, hey, maybe that matches him, that's still not a good enough reason to go take his life. Like, that just never would be. So
I
your
think
life being in danger is the only reason to shoot someone.
I think a lot of these people are used to like the media lying to them, or seeing these kind of, I wouldn't say similar cases, but cases that are positioned similar to what it looks like this is, and saying, well, look, when all the details came out, we found out this was a perfectly clean shoot. Like, let's say this guy robbed the store and got shot, things like that have been called a bad shoot by the media, and then turns out it's, just someone robbed the store and got shot by the cop in the store because they were waving a gun at the guy behind the cash register. I think they've kind of gotten used to seeing that, so they're kind of lulled into not doing their research necessarily anymore. So now any shoot that comes out, they kind of just assume, okay, this was probably fine. The media is blowing it out of proportion. Kind of like what the media does on the other side, where they see white guy shoots black guy, must be racism.
Right.
And even in this case,
there's no backstory.
Even in this case, I wouldn't necessarily that this is a specifically racist shoot, because we don't know.
We're not going to know until the trial.
Oh yeah, and it could be perfectly true. It's just,
they could just be idiots.
It could have been any dude running through that neighborhood that day, but we don't know for sure. That's kind of where I'm coming from, is we don't know the facts yet, at least of why him.
But it is interesting to see how people freak out when they don't have the facts yet, how quick they are to make assumptions.
I do agree, and that happens on both sides. as we've seen with.
It does happen on both sides.
I mean, we've seen it in the past with the media blowing up other cases, and we've seen it now with people who are assuming that because of that, this case is blown up as well. So,
yeah.
Well, we're all going to keep our eye on this. It's something that I'm sure we're going to see updates in the next few weeks and months. And once the trial eventually comes around on these guys, we're all going to be tuned in. But that kind of wraps up for now.
We could live stream the trial, Saving the Republic live comments.
It's something we ought to do, actually.
That wasn't a joke.
Like
that wasn't
fun.
a joke.
Let's do it.
That literally, I wasn't joking.
We're planning this live now, but yes, let's do it.
We'll all get together on the sofa, put up the thing, set up a camera, go for it.
Awesome. Y'all just heard essentially what happens when we plan.
Yeah. But yeah, so our next topic, we're gonna talk a little bit about Elon Musk, and he's talked about moving to Austin, and he just had different events going on lately. So we're gonna hit on that.
All right, so Elon Musk, owner of Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, etc., all over the place. My mom thinks he's a sleeper. We can talk about that later. But he got so frustrated with the public health official saying Tesla is unessential that he is like it was not a cap. He was dead serious about moving headquarters to Texas or Nevada. And now it seems that it's going to be Tulsa or Austin. And I'm telling you right now, Texas is much more superior than Oklahoma.
I mean, people literally call Oklahoma the trailer park of Texas.
Oklahoma is the Great Value, Texas. So what do you call it?
Not even.
Elon Musk wants to move to Austin, right? That is going to be pretty significant because Texas is already an economic powerhouse, and with California losing Tesla, it's going to be a neck-to-neck situation, in my opinion. So
I mean,
there's more to this with Elon, but right now let's talk about moving headquarters to Austin, how many jobs that's going to be. What do y'all think about this?
So Austin at this point is kind of turning into a mini Silicon Valley of Texas. Pretty much.
Yeah, Apple's making the MacBook Pros there, the $10,000 Pros.
Yeah, we have Google offices there. We have Apple places there. We have Tesla possibly coming in now. We just have essentially we're kind of building our own mini Silicon Valley. And we have like small tech startups there even now too. We see a lot of those online, several media production companies, things like that, all opening up shop in Austin and surrounding areas just because, they can buy 100 acres of land for filming things way cheaper than they can in California. They can buy buildings way cheaper than California. Now, Austin isn't a cheap area compared to the rest of Texas, but compare that to Los Angeles and you get the big city vibes still with Austin. And, it's kind of a no-brainer to move to Austin if you're going to move somewhere.
I'd be really interested to see. It really would only make sense. Texas is so much more business-friendly than California is. Austin, it's Rick Perry described it as the blueberry in the tomato soup, basically the one little blue dot. It's kind of now, unfortunately, Texas has a few more blue dots springing up, but it's still like culturally, it's very, it's very liberal, and but that's kind of for a tech company, you sort of want people that are kind of typically liberal or whatever.
You want the millennial in the parents' basement.
Yeah, like you want the creativity. Well, you not necessarily, but you want the creativity. But then when you also have a great business environment, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Now, like Silicon Valley have that kind of creative tech, force. But then if you move to Austin, then you'd kind of get that, and then you also get all the great, there's not really a business. It's not really perks. It's just a lack of intervention. So.
I personally like other parts of Texas significantly better than Austin. I'm pretty happy in Houston.
Me as well. Yeah.
I hate Houston. It's too hot, too much traffic. San Antonio is good, but airfare. If you want to go anywhere. Oh no. I stay far away from West Texas.
So if I had to If I had to rate Texas cities, I would probably go Fort Worth as number one, followed by.
When you say Fort Worth, do you mean DFW or
No, I mean specifically Fort Worth.
Okay.
Because Fort Worth is better than Dallas, as we all know.
Yes.
Yeah, great place. Stockyards, Billy Bob's.
Billy
You
Bob's.
get the city vibes with the country.
So Fort Worth is essentially a bunch of country people that moved to the city. That's what Fort Worth is, and that's what makes it amazing.
A bunch of country people that put some towers up.
So love Fort Worth. That's my number one. I would have to go probably Waco next.
Heck no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm sorry. I got a lot of memories in Waco. Love the area.
Okay, I have a lot of memories in, socialism. Right. Making a great place to live.
I mean, it depends on what you're wanting. Like, if you're wanting a big city, then like Austin is pretty cool. There's plenty of stuff to do. But Waco, I mean, I grew up in Waco and I like it. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't put it. I don't know. I probably wouldn't put it up.
I like Dallas-Fort Worth because of the convenience of it. San Antonio, like, I kind of like San Antonio. However, whenever you're there, like, if I wanted to go on a trip, I'm going to have to fly to Dallas first or to another place.
Yeah, San Antonio is great.
American Airlines headquarters. So, like, if we wanted to go to Sydney tomorrow, I mean, COVID to the side, if you wanted to go to Sydney tomorrow or Dubai or Tokyo, it doesn't matter. Dallas flies everywhere. And you don't get that in other cities in Texas.
That's kind of one thing that I've missed having. I'm currently out of the DFW area. Is anytime I've had to fly anywhere, I have to get a connecting flight, even if I drive into Austin. So that's kind of the sad part about moving somewhere outside of the Fort Worth area. My favorite city. Still going to stand by that. Best city in Texas. Californians, please don't come to Fort Worth. We don't want you.
Yes. Back on Elon though.
Yeah.
If they bring Tesla to Austin, I think it's interesting. I think what you might have to do, a step that you might have to take before that is something that kind of gained traction a little bit in the legislature a few years ago. But that's letting manufacturers sell cars directly to consumers, and in Texas they still can't do that. So that's kind of a big impediment on Elon, on Tesla. I have no idea, but like Oklahoma is just such a like minor league player. I don't know. Maybe you can. That might be a reason that he would. I'm not sure.
So I feel like with Oklahoma, Tesla's a big enough get for them that Elon can kind of push his weight around with their government too.
Yeah, he'll have more power and more say so.
But but Oklahoma's so much smaller. The point is like being able to manufacture right in Austin and being able to sell to consumers, a lot of which would be in Austin. That's a lot. You'd cut out a lot of transportation costs. Now, I mean, Oklahoma's not too far down, but still being able to sell to consumers right next door, that would be a huge boon. Which I would like to see it. I would like to see it because it's not fair that the auto dealers have this like government propped up middleman. If you could sell directly to consumers, that would make Teslas a lot more attractive.
So kind of my thing is, it's weird to me because I know SpaceX launches from the Waco area. So I was kind of surprised they said Austin and not Waco. Because
I mean, they're not that far apart from each other though.
Well, SpaceX doesn't really have anything to do with Tesla. Exactly.
It's not that they have things to do with Tesla.
He tries to keep. Go ahead.
It's that if Elon being the CEO of both, essentially it's convenience for him.
Well, Elon Musk is so unique though. He has the Boring Company, he has SpaceX, and he has Tesla. And you see him talking about selling all of his estates. And people ask him, okay, well, you're a billionaire. Why don't you design your dream home? And he's like, well, because that's time I could be spending getting us to Mars or finishing the tunnels underneath. I don't know if y'all have seen what the Boring Company's up to.
That's kind of what I'm saying though. He's got to spend time if he goes between SpaceX and Tesla, driving from Waco to Austin and Austin to Waco.
Well, he'd fly though.
I'm sure Elon's not driving himself.
Even flying though, I mean,
but Elon Musk flies to work. You know that, right? He lives in LA and he works in like near San Francisco.
Hey, if you're hopping on, like if you're Elon Musk, McGregor, which is where they launched, McGregor has a little airport. you can definitely get your personal jet and hop from McGregor to Austin. That's very
I completely see what you're saying. It's just, to me, there's extra convenience if you just put Tesla right next door to SpaceX.
But Elon doesn't want that though. Look at where he is right now at this very moment. Tesla is where is the city? It's south of San Francisco. It's right over there. Tesla is right there, right? In Reno, Nevada is where SpaceX is at, and the Boring Company is in like Southern California or Southeast California. So he's going all over the place. He'll go LA up to Tesla, spend a few days sleeping in his office, go over to SpaceX, go over to Boring Company. He likes to keep them separated from each other. Elon Musk does not care about his convenience.
And there is a strategic advantage to that where he can kind of pull from different pools of people.
And he's not sitting on the plane looking out the window. I mean, he's still working.
That's true, especially when it's a private plane like that. He can probably get as much work done there as he could if he was in his office.
I mean, a lot of flexibility is provided when you're worth $70 billion.
Very true. Very true.
Now, here's the other deal with Elon.
I personally think Texas is a great choice to move to.
It's
no matter what. Just because, I mean, it's not as nice weather-wise as California, but we have fairly mild winters compared to most other states, and we have pretty warm temperatures the rest of it.
Elon would be a real baller if he moved to Lubbock. We got dry summers, so it's a dry heat. It's not actually even hot. Not really. It's still hot, but
Elon wants nothing to do with Lubbock. I'm telling you that. Most civilized.
I mean, to be fair though, SpaceX, Lubbock, they can take like as much land as they want, and no one will even notice.
Well, that's true.
Sure.
So the thing with Elon is he's all over the place. I used to think he was like a globalist, and now I'm like, what does he even believe? It's so confusing to see him talk about stuff. Like take the red pill is what he's tweeting right now. And all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the heck? And he's tweeting end the shutdown. And I'm like, I thought this dude wanted control. And now he wants out of California. And I'm like, why is he so unpredictable? He's all over the place. I have no idea what to think of him. Anyway,
he's one of the figures where I don't necessarily look at them politically.
No, I don't look at him politically either.
So it's, as sad as this sounds, a lot of people look to like celebrities for political things, which I really try not to do. I feel like
it's a natural inclination.
It is, but I feel like you should
don't consciously recognize that you're doing it.
I feel like what you should do is look at various books, philosophy, things like that, rather than look towards celebrity status. So
the thing with Elon is, we're talking about COVID, coronavirus, the whole thing. He is opening his plant. He's doing it. He does not care what California has to say about it. And so then you wonder, does Elon believe coronavirus is really a threat, etc.? And so the other day on the Joe Rogan Experience, he claimed that out of 7,000 Chinese employees, not a single one has died from COVID. And that is specific to China. What do y'all think about that? Hang on, let me play the clip real quick.
Major doubts.
Major doubts, says Skylar. All right. Let me share computers. Okay, here we go.
A lot of their propaganda.
The thing is that American companies have massive supply chains in China. Like Tesla, for example. We have hundreds of suppliers. Like tier 1, 2, 3, 4 suppliers throughout China. So we know if they are able to make stuff or not. We know if they have issues or not.
Love the shirt.
Then China is back at full steam. Pretty much every U.S. company has some significant number of suppliers in China. So you know if they're able to, provide things or not.
Elon's got an interesting way of stuttering when he talks.
High mortality rate. Tesla has 7,000 people in China, so zero people died.
Zero people died.
Okay, so that's a real statistic. That's coming from.
That's where okay.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah, we run.
I don't know about all that. What do y'all think about that?
So he didn't really say where he got the statistic from. If it's from anyone related to the Chinese government, I'd take that statement with a grain of salt. I feel like if he's talking to people in the factories in China, it could have more truth to it. So I think that's kind of where I stand on this.
Yeah, it's not hard at all to believe that out of 7,000, because probably, I mean, maybe a small fraction of them tested positive, and you probably assume that a lot of their workforce is probably kind of young, maybe middle aged, but probably not necessarily super high risk people at dying from coronavirus. So not necessarily hard to believe that. If you were to say that none of them got it, like I could imagine the Chinese government saying something like that. Then I would have high doubts.
Well, he's not going off of the Chinese government though. He's going off of his payroll. He's going off of his employees that he's actively paying.
That makes sense. Like it's not hard to believe that none of their people died from it. That's great.
Well, but if you think about it, the way that the media is making it sound, especially in China is supposed to be the worst than anywhere else, supposedly. And the death rate is supposed to be in China, I think it's like 5% or maybe 10. Here in most U.S. cities, it's less than 1%, but in China, it should be 5 or 10. So it wouldn't be that shocking if 70 people out of the 7,000 were to die. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's just 1%, whatever.
Well, I think you said
not a single one.
I think you said 7,000 employees, so we're not assuming that they all.
Well, that's the other thing. How many of them got the virus? Mm-hmm. And of the ones that got the virus, Elon also said that he has personal friends that have gotten it and didn't die. And so it's kind of like, okay, he was making the point that, the media is trying to make it one thing and they're trying to politicize it. And then he has a real statistic that is not provided by CNN or Fox or anybody. It is himself looking at the evidence.
Yeah. I know. Here in Texas, in Amarillo, that's kind of been one of the worst spots, and apparently it's largely because of the meatpacking industry. So these meatpacking employees are really close to each other, and so that's one of the big reasons they've transmitted it, is because they're working in close conditions. Now, something like Tesla, I don't know, I've never been to one of their plants, but maybe they're not.
Are insane.
Yeah, maybe they're not necessarily like really close together. So I mean, it's not too hard to believe.
Well, a lot of their stuff is done by robots. Like the robot will go in and put the chair down and maneuver its way around the car. It is amazing to watch.
Yeah. It'd actually be pretty cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. But when he comes to Texas, I mean, that's going to take forever for them to actually, get it all here. You're talking about thousands, and which ones of the employees aren't going to make the move?
Yeah, I could imagine them. I think is it Apple that's building like I think they're building kind of a big campus in Austin. I could definitely see Tesla doing something like that, where they actually have housing close to the where their manufacturing is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense that they'd want to do that, just business-wise.
Here, check this out. This is how Tesla social distance is, guys. This is insane. This is insanity. This is like, okay, well, how is this going to play out in Texas? Y'all see this?
Yeah.
They're like, this is literally, they have people there, but I mean, look at all those doors. I mean, it's just insane. It's just insanity. It's kind of creepy, but it's also just amazing. Anyway, so when this happens in Texas, I mean, I think they're going to take it up to a next level of technology. Y'all know what I mean by that? I think they're going to take the time and they're going to be like, you know what, let's upgrade our stuff while we're building the factory. And engineers in Texas are going to have a field day.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. If they're going to move, they're definitely going to try and improve their tech wherever possible.
Because now, like, improving your tech, okay, you have to stop production to get that tech going. You know what I mean by that? Because you only have so much space.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like they're also probably the company that's most likely to upgrade their tech as often as possible.
So they have 160 robots. Look at them put this chair in the car. This is insane. Look at that. How the way that it moves around like that.
So Elon's just, Ethan's just fanboying out loud over here.
You what?
You're just fanboying out loud, like.
I am rambling out loud. You know, I turn into a little fanboy. I'm not gonna cap.
Yeah.
I turn into a little fanboy when it comes to technology. But the reason we're talking about it is because it's coming to Texas or Oklahoma. I mean
Possibly.
okay, yeah, possibly. But
I mean, if it goes to Oklahoma, I have to question Elon's judgment. Like, has he been to Oklahoma?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Amazon was eyeing up Texas earlier this year, I think. Or
I don't want
last year.
Amazon anywhere near Texas. I'm not. That's where my opinion changes. I cannot stand Amazon. Now they are hard workers. A job interview with them takes 12 hours nonstop, just like one break. I mean, they are intense people. However,
for what job does it take 12 hours? That's what I'm curious about.
Up there in corporate. Like if you want a high corporate position like VP or manager.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say they can't have delivery drivers taking a
12-hour. I think it's actually 2 12-hour interviews actually.
But they can't just do that on every employee.
But still,
let's not forget that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post
and Whole Foods.
Okay, but I think all the jobs that we can get to come to Texas, let's bring them here. So if it's Amazon, that's great. Like I don't care who it is.
Jobs and control. There's a difference in jobs and power. That's completely different. Whenever you have companies that big that have that many employees, yes, I have confidence in Greg Abbott and other people like that. But at a certain point, the company has a certain degree of power, and Amazon is not somebody that I want to have power. That is, they already have a ton of power, but I don't want them.
I think by having other large companies like Apple and Google and Tesla here as well, we can kind of be less picky about that because the power is more spread out by having those larger companies.
Sure, but Amazon they're talking about Jeff Bezos becoming a trillionaire. I mean, there's the
we're rooting for the oil industry to get back up, so those can be the biggest cronies. I guess we'd prefer to have the oil lobbyists, I guess, being an issue rather than.
That's why Texas is so unique because we have the oil going on, we have the mini Silicon Valley happening, we have all these businesses,
and we're creating a new sector in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Have you seen all the finance companies moving to the DFW area?
I have started to notice that. It's funny you bring that up.
Just being someone who's interested in finance and such like that, I've just noticed a ton of companies moving to the DFW area for finance. We're starting to see tech in Austin. Houston.
Well, I'm telling you, it's because of the airport.
Houston
it's perfect to be in Dallas.
Houston is huge for medical and oil and gas, and then
definitely for medical.
We've got ag all up in West Texas, so
that's true. Yeah, we've just got. I mean, the expansion of business in Texas recently has just been insane.
It's been overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it so many people are here. I'm like, at what point are we going to run out of space?
That's why we're
30 million people.
That's why we're slated to pick up 3 congressional seats after the next census. So pretty cool. More than any other state. So.
Wow, you're such a nerd. You care about congressional seats. What do you work for YCT, bro?
It's good stuff though. It's good. Let's hope that we get conservatives in those.
Skylar has a new state board position, folks. And so does Nate. Nate is junior IT. Skylar, what is your position? Tell the viewers what you're doing.
Yeah, chapter maintenance director. So cool job. Get to be in touch with all the chapter chairs. So
Skylar gets to destroy me now on a daily basis.
And I'm the junior IT supervisor. So let's have a meeting right now. Just kidding. I digress.
But yeah,
on that.
Elon. It's just Tesla's net worth is what. Elon doesn't own 100% of it.
It's crazy. So
because you have to look at the Texas economy and then add Tesla value. It's like, okay,
I don't necessarily trust the Tesla evaluation just because their PE ratios and stuff like that are kind of off. But
PE ratios,
profit earning.
No, I know. I'm a finance major myself.
Are you though?
I'm just Am I? Anyway, but yeah, just to wrap up, I mean, Elon, just an unpredictable dude. I saw California's not letting him name his kid that, so we'll see how that turns out. But when they get to Texas, I mean, I just hope that this doesn't die. You know what I mean by that, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's always hurdles to get through, but I like that we don't have to here in Texas, we don't usually have to give, special rewards to certain corporations. We don't have to give them subsidies. So hopefully just our environment by itself is going to be good enough to get Tesla to come out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, hope they come out. Hope Amazon doesn't come out, etc. Anyway, well, this is about all the time we have on this. We are planning a few Wednesday editions, folks. Hope you tune into them. My interview was posted 2 weeks ago. Skylar's interview was posted last week. Nate's and Kelly's are coming up. Y'all really don't want to miss them. Each one of us are pretty interesting people. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're missing out by not getting to know us on another level. Stay tuned for future Wednesday editions. We'll be talking about anything that you can think of. And this has been episode 8. Thank you.
And don't forget to follow us on social media.
If you like this content, please like, subscribe, share it. If you hated it, like, subscribe, and share it. Thanks for tuning in.